Hello everyone. Good morning or good afternoon as per your respective time zones. On behalf of entire Mastek Managed Services team, we would like to welcome you all to 24C Finance Advisory webinar session. This important session is to keep you fully synchronized with new features and functionalities as a part of this quarterly release which Oracle provides. My name is Sohail Malik and I am an Oracle functional consultant at Mastek Managed Services team. Today, I'm your host for this session, and I'm glad to introduce my colleague, Vishal Desai, who is part of our vast finance team at Mastek. Today, he'll take us through all the cloud financial updates for 24C quarterly release. Today's session is planned for around 45 to 60 minutes, and we'll also make sure that we also leave some time to answer all the questions you may have. We also have panelists available, Rutuja Suryavanshi, so you can ask any question through chat or question panel. Before we move to the agenda, let's have a quick look at the important disclaimer. We would like to convey you our approach towards the Oracle updates in a very simpler methods. We'll be taking you through vital analysis for 24C updates done by our experts. We'll help you incorporating new features and updates easily into the system. Also, we'll sync you on any bugs or known issues if there are any. It's good to have an interactive session, so please do ask questions through chat or question panel. We'll answer them at the end of the session. In case if we run out of time, we'll make sure to respond you back by connecting you at a later stage to answer all your questions. So, list of new features coming into 24C. Detailing on features so you get brief understanding on what new features are all about. Next one is what are the business benefits and important takeaway for you as a decision maker. There are four components where we have done in-depth analysis of features which are going to present to you. First one is impact level analysis, which demonstrate the impact of the end user. If it's low impact, then regression testing can be avoided. If it's high, then we need to opt for regression testing. Second one is which we are all aware that there are some features which are by default auto-enabled by Oracle, and there are some which we need to opt for. Third one highlights nature of the feature. There would be certain configuration which may be required or some can be used without any changes. Last one is a quick win. In this term, we used to simply convey that what is ready to use by investing minimum amount of time and what required significant amount of time and effort to make use of this feature. Hi Vishal, I'll be handing over to you now. Please unmute yourself and begin the session.
Thanks, Soel, for your introduction. Myself is Vishal Desai, and I'm a consultant working at the Mastek. So today we are going to see the new feature that came up in the 23C upgrades. First one is coming from the common module regarding the service excellence continuing investments. In every upgrade, Oracle provides us an overall usability and resiliency and performance that can be improved in every upgrades. In current upgrade, Oracle is coming up with the new budget entry name that will be required while importing the budget amounts through any integration services. It would simplify the reporting of budgetary control balances, and uh, it would It would do so because all the budget balances will have the budget entry name present in all the methods. It would also generate the new BIP journal and transaction details report which includes all the transaction activities with the header, line, and distribution level details. Going on with the same update in the budgetary control, we need to opt in this feature from the opt-in UI available in the financials offering. However, this would be no longer optional from the 25A upgrades. We can bifurcate these things into different sections, one for the new customers and another for the existing customers. So for the new customer, the budget entry parameter value in the schedule process must be entered. And one thing to consider is the parameter value mentioned in the schedule process must be same as mentioned in the budget data file, that is the file that is coming from the integration. However, for the existing customer, we need to keep in mind that for the existing integrations, we need to include this budget entry name parameter in the data file that is coming from the integrations. Moving on to the journal ledger, we have new option for the account hierarchy user defined sort order using FBDI. So this feature enables us to maintain the hierarchy of all the segment values that has been imported using the FBDI or the rapid implementation sheet. Previously, when we see any hierarchy through any smart view or the financial reporting studio, it would give us the alphanumeric order. However, through this update, we can able to store the sequence or the sort order, and it would be used to view any reporting and other criteria. To see how it works is in the import segment value hierarchy file, FBDI file, there is one new column has been added and auto-generated for the sort order. So when we create the CSV file from the template, it would automatically populate the sort order field, and the value will be based on the nodes entered in the template. If you see this snapshot, as you can see, there is a last column where the sort order has been mentioned. For all the child level nodes, we would be having the sort order based on when you entered the values in the FBDI file itself. Here is the snapshot where you can see how it would be displayed in the Financial Reporting Studio reports. So as you can see, it would not be based on an alphanumeric sorting. It would be based on the sort order that has been defined in the FBDI file. In the same manner, we would be also seeing the same sort order in the Inquire and Analyze balances screen on the General Ledger. It can also be viewed on the other maintenance page like Manage Account Hierarchies page and Manage Chart of Account Configuration page. It would be maintained, the sort order will be maintained in the same way. What it would do is it would enables the business to organize their financial data to meet the specific reporting needs that is required by any regulatory. And to use this feature, we again need to go to opt-in UI, and under the financial offering, we can use this feature. Moving on to the next one, on the journal ledger itself, we have the approval assignees and comments displayed in the journal action log. So under the manage journals screen, we can now be able to see the action log that can be viewed for the journal's approval. It will also show the journal's approval that has been assigned to any persons. It would enable the user to view the list of approvals that has been required to approve a journal batch. It would create a transparency and helps user to identify the responsible approver. Further, the approver's comments that has been mentioned at the time of approval or rejection of journals can also be viewed through this screen. It would also allow an audit trail and transparency while checking the approvals of the journals. Moving on to the next one, for the journal ledger, we have the foreign currency valuation accounting for financial services. This feature is for the banking institution where foreign currency exposures and, and comply with the regulatory requirements is needed with the currency valuation processes. For this, we have two processes for the transfer process and the revaluation process. The transfer process enables the revenue and expenses which are in the foreign currency. It would automatically calculate the fluctuation in the exchange rates and record in the separate revaluation gain and loss accounts. It would also generate the journal entry to move such balances into the revenue and expense accounts. Further, for the revaluation processes regarding the balance sheet accounts, which needs to be account the fluctuations in the currency in the exchange rates. This ensures the accounts balances that are accurately reflected and the balance sheet will show the accurate results. This will help in the revaluation processes and reduce the manual efforts of the organizations. It would also minimize the penalty risk and audit compliance in the banking regulations. Further, we have the upgrade in the taxes module where we can set up the reporting only tax and calculation formulas in the withholding tax. This has been introduced in the view of the new Brazilian income withholding tax rules, which enables the organization to select and gives the option to select any option to calculate withholding tax. By continuing the same example, in the same rules, we have two options to calculate the withholding tax. One is regarding we can directly deduct the fixed amount from the taxable basis, or we can also use the calculation based on the legal discount to calculate the taxable basis. To create this type of withholding tax, we need to enable the set tax for reporting purpose only option in the withholding tax option. By enabling this option, the tax would be calculated for the reporting purpose only, and it will not be accounted as well as it will not affect any existing or the future transactions. As you can see on the screen, we have the checkbox to set the tax for the reporting purpose only. For calculating the taxable basis formula, we have three types of amounts. First, we can also use assessable value, which has been defined at the line level. Second is the line level itself. And third one is the prior tax, if there are one or more taxable basis amount available. To use any formula, we have following defined different functions available to make any adjustments in the taxable basis. As you can see in this example, that we have the compounding tax that has been calculated by reporting only taxes, and by using the compounding rule, we can be able to set the final withholding tax amount. Under the withholding tax calculation, we can also be able to use these types of formulas to achieve the withholding tax calculations. It is needed if we want to add any calculated tax that is associated with tax formula into the tax basis that has been calculated. It would it would enable business to create the reporting only withholding taxes to determine the final withholding tax calculations. It would also enable business to cope up with the complex withholding tax calculations. Moving on to the next tax updates, in it is in enhanced tax rapid implementation sheet. Under this rapid implementation sheet, we now have 4 new columns that can be updated while we update or create any tax rates. These columns are namely offset rate code, default recovery rate code, tax inclusion method, and allow override and entry of inclusive tax lines. This enables user to update these fields into the tax rates if there are number of tax rates that needs to be uploaded. It will also fulfill the tax requirement if an organization has the strict configuration access policies. Moving on to the payables work area, it is regarding the invoice creation for remitting unsheeted payments to the escheatment authority. In this process, in the previous upgrades, we have the achievement process that has been enabled by the Oracle. In this feature, it allows us to automatically create the invoices that needs to be created to pay the amount for the unclaimed checks to specific local authority. For this process to work, we need to first go to the manage payment page and identify any stale payments that are pending for the number of days that had been specified by the law. After those has been identified, we need to go to the action and click on the initiate escheatment action. After this, the status would be changed to escheatment initiated, and after this we need to manually stop payment. Instruction needs to be sent to all the banks. After performing the stop payments and all the due diligence, we can now change the status to escheat from the action button. After the payment status has been changed, there will be no further activity can be done on these types of payments. We can now run the create accounting, and it would transfer all the amounts from the cash and cash clearing accounts to the unclaimed fund account. After the accounting has been ran, we can again go to the action button and click on that create invoice. It will now populate a window which allow us to select the local authority or supplier. Once that has been done, Oracle will automatically create an invoices which can be shown in the manage invoice page. One thing to note is the invoice that has been created would have the same charge account as the unclaimed fund account. So it would get be nullified. To create the automatic invoices, we need to do these two setups. One is regarding the unclaimed fund account that needs to be set up in the manage common options. And we also need to enter the minimum days to initiate enshipment in the manage payment option page. One thing to consider is we must account the payment before you create an enshipment invoice. Moving on to the payables, in the IDR we have one enhancement regarding the proration of freight and miscellaneous line or IDR invoices. So before this enhancement, when we import any invoices through IDR, the freight and miscellaneous line were all automatically prorated across the item lines. However, for certain countries, the such freight and miscellaneous amount needs to be taxed differently or needs to be accounted differently. For this, Oracle has provided one option in the manage intelligent document recognition options. We have one option to prorate freight and miscellaneous line. If we use this option, it would allow us to govern the IDR functionality and how this treatment would look like. So if we enable this option, the freight and miscellaneous line would be prorated and the option on the edit invoice page would be enabled but not editable. But if it's disabled, the option would not be enabled but editable. So if we want to do prorate across all the item lines for one specific invoice, we can do so. This reduces the business manual efforts to prorate freight and miscellaneous line, and it would also do the correct text calculation and defaulting of account code for the freight and miscellaneous line. The next one is regarding the payment confirmation acknowledgements using a REST API. So under the payables payment REST API, we now have 3 more attributes to do the acknowledgements using the API. So this feature has been came up for the integrations so that the Oracle Cloud can integrate with the other systems such as Textura to provide the payment confirmation statuses for invoices generated. The invoice payment status will verify that the payment has been successfully processed and received by the beneficiary. The next one in the payables module, we have the automatic completion of printed payment files. So before this feature has been introduced, we need to go to the action of the PPR or the payment process request. After the process has been completed, we need to do the record print status and the user intervention was required. But after this feature, the system will automatically create the printed checks without any user intervention to review the check printing status. To use this feature, we need to enable the automatic records check print status in the payment process profile to override the recording of check print statuses. The next one is in the asset module regarding the annuity fixed asset depreciation method. So now we can use the annuity depreciation method in the Oracle Fusion. This feature needs to be enabled first on the Manage Asset Books setups. We have new checkbox to allow the annuity depreciation. By creating the annuity depreciation method, Oracle will automatically calculate the depreciation expenses as well as the interest expenses that has been lost on the opportunity cost of capital. To enter the To use the annuity fixed asset depreciation method, we first need to enter the annuity interest and annuity revenue code combination in the manage category pages. Also, under the defaulting rules, we need to select the annuity method to use this method for specific asset categories. We also need to set up the annuity depreciation method, the method name as annuity for all your asset useful lives. This will enable some of the entities to calculate the depreciation according to the annuity depreciation method. And to use this feature, we need to use the opt-in UI to enable this feature. And we also need to enable the allow annuity depreciation from the asset book. Next one is regarding the exception-based approval for the fixed asset transactions. This enables us to manage approvals for different asset transactions like additions, transfer, retirements, reclassification, and adjustments. We can set up certain level of approvals to approve any capital cost or any adjustment that has been performed on the assets. The system would give an approval notification to a specific approver that has been identified through the rules that has been configured. And once the approver has approved the transaction would be posted. To create such rules, we first need to navigate to Setup and Maintenance work area. And under the Manage Workflow Rules in Spreadsheet Setup, we can able to see the Asset Transaction Approval spreadsheet. There we can download the template to set up the basic rule to create approvals for the assets. Under the asset approvals, we will be able to set up the approvals based on different options. First one is regarding, we can also, first one is for the supervisory hierarchy. Second one, we can also use the approval groups, which can be in the serial, parallel, or the single mode. We will be also able to set up the job level hierarchy. We can also use specific user to approve some of the transactions based on the rules. We can also select user with specific application role to approve any transactions. To use a specific condition to define different level of approval, we can able to use data set that has been available under this sheet. As you can see in the snapshot, we can define the approval based on the category as well as the asset cost. So based on the cost, we will be able to define the approval hierarchy also. It would enable the organization to reduce the paperwork and follow the audit trails and internal controls to be maintained in the system. To enable this feature, we need to go to the Manage Asset Book Setups and enables the approvals for different types of transactions. Next one is regarding the transaction processing order in the FBDI templates. So here we have different interface line number column in the FVDI templates to enables us to select the order of transaction that can be posted in specific asset. So it would it would be it would be an optional column. So we can choose not to enter anything. However, if any transaction that has been dependent upon any other transaction, so we can enter the interface line number and it would process the transaction in the sequential manner. This would enable user to not create different FBDI files for dependent transactions, if any. The next one is regarding the assets in the synchronization of asset retirements between the SCM installed base and fixed asset. Here, if there are any assets which are synchronized in the supply chain, when we retire the fixed asset from the fixed asset modules, it would automatically end it, or it would automatically terminate the installed base asset in the SCM module. This is the bidirectional integration between the Oracle assets and the SCM. To use this feature, when we do an retirement of asset, we have one option to terminate installed base asset. If we select that, it will automatically terminate the base asset in the SCM module. However, one thing to notice is it would be only shown if the asset that you are retiring is related to any installed base asset in the SCM module and are eligible for synchronization. You can navigate to manage asset page of Oracle install base within the SCM to verify that the asset has been ended. This will enable business to smoothly terminate the asset through the asset module itself. And it would also enhance the accuracy in the financials, asset information, as well as the supply chain module. To use this feature, we need to do an opt-in feature needs to be enabled from the financials offering as well as the manufacturing and the supply chain materials management. After this, only we will be able to use this feature. That was my time, guys. Thank you. I am now handing over to Rutuja for any pending questions that has been there.
Yeah, thank you, Vishal, for wonderful insights. So let's quickly move towards the Q&A part now. Hi, Rutuja, could you please check if we have any questions you want to take up?
Yes, I've heard more questions.
Okay, no worries. So you will receive an email by next week wherein the presentation and the session recording would be available to you at a single click. So please do look out for an email in your inbox. So these are the upcoming sessions which you can see on the screen. Please register or ask your colleagues to register to be a part of these webinars. Before you leave us, we would like to have a quick feedback on today's session. Launching the poll now. Okay, thank you everyone. Closing the poll. Thank you once again for your valuable time. Bye everyone.